Yo, what you saying, people? It's Pez Charlie here. So, Tekken 1. The game released in 1994 in arcades and a year later in 1995 on PlayStation. 3D fighting games were hot at the time, as proven by the game becoming the first PlayStation game to sell 1 million copies. What we're going to look at in this video though is the game itself, like a remembering Tekken 1 kind of video. So Tekken 1 doesn't actually have a lot of modes. It's only got 3, those being arcade mode, which puts you against 9 other characters, including a character specific sub-boss, and then the final boss who's the big bad of Tekken himself, Heihachi Mishima. Each time you beat arcade mode, you unlock an ending cutscene for the character you used, and each time you beat arcade mode with a character you haven't done so with previously, you'll unlock a new character. This is kind of standard for fighting games, especially back then. But there's also Devil Kazuya, who you can unlock by beating the Gallagher mini game that shows up when you first boot up the game, which I think is pretty cool and original. You could also view Gallagher as a separate game mode if you want to. Then you've got 2P play mode, which is literally just regular 1v1 versus mode, and then test mode, which is just options.
If you are enjoying this video so far, please do consider dropping a like. It really helps out the channel. I'd appreciate it so much, and it just lets me know that people are enjoying this sort of content. And if you are interested in watching more in the future, there's a button for that too.
So getting into the main story of this game, basically Kazuya, who's our protagonist, when he was a kid, his father Heihachi threw him off a cliff. Now, there have been numerous reasons given as to why he did this, like in Tekken the motion picture, Heihachi does it to test how strong Kazuya is, as he doesn't want a son who can't survive something like this. And apparently lions do this. I mean, that's what Heihachi said, but I don't know, I'm gonna need that fact check. That might just be some weird Tekken thing. Obviously, as a child, he was left in a near-death state thanks to being thrown off of a cliff. So Kazuya made a deal with the devil to give him strength to climb back up the cliff. And Tekken 6 also implied that this was the reason. There's a brief scene of Heihachi saying, "Let's see if you have what it takes," to Kazuya before throwing him off the cliff in this like flashback. However, in the Tekken 7 story mode, we actually see flashbacks to this scene of Heihachi throwing Kazuya off the cliff when he was a child, and his reason for doing so was that Kazuya's recently deceased mother Kazumi had something called the devil gene inside of her, which basically turns her into a devil, and being Kazumi's son, Heihachi thought that Kazuya may also have the devil within him. So he threw him off the cliff to see if he could survive such a fall. If he doesn't survive, then he doesn't have the devil in him. But this doesn't really make much sense to me, because obviously if he didn't have the devil in him, then Heihachi just unalived his son for no reason. I don't know if there's any other way he could have tested it, but there must have been something. But I guess this is the canon reason now. So, understandably, Kazuya wanted to get his revenge on Heihachi in the Tekken 1 story. Heihachi has this company called the Mishima Zaibatsu that sponsor a fighting tournament called the King of Iron Fist Tournament, which brings in all these fighters from around the world. And everyone has their own reason for entering. Like, some just want to prove their strength, some want prize money to give to those less fortunate than them, and some just want revenge, like our protagonist Kazuya. Now, Heihachi thought that Kazuya was dead, so you can imagine his surprise when his supposedly unalived son is no longer the little kid he was when he supposedly unalived him, but instead he's a fully grown man ready to beat the hell out of him. After defeating Heihachi, Kazuya then throws him off a cliff and claims the Mishima Zaibatsu for himself, and that's really it for the main story of this game. But like I just touched on, every character has some kind of story, and there are 18 characters in total in the game, alphabetically listed as Anna, Armor King, Devil, Ganryu, Heihachi, Jack, Kazuya, King, Kuma, Kunimitsu, Law, Lee, Michelle, Nina, Hall, Prototype Jack, Wang, and Yoshimitsu. So somehow the Russian military got wind of Kazuya's world coup d'etat and sent in a Jack robot to stop him. honestly, I didn't know about this before making this video. And I guess they didn't know how strong Kazuya was though, since Paul once fought Kazuya to a draw and entered to fight strong opponents. Honestly, now I think about it, is he actually like the only person who didn't know his son was still alive? I guess he was just so tied up in his world takeover plan that he wasn't so in tune with the martial arts grapevine. Michelle was told by her mother that her father was killed by Heihachi, which is why she entered, and Nina is also out for Heihachi's head. So there's a lot of people who don't like Heihachi in this game. My boy King, who's this big wrestler guy who wears a jaguar mask, it's not as stupid as it sounds. He's here to get some money for the orphanage, so it's basically the opposite of Heihachi in the parenting department. Then you've got Law, who's like the Bruce Lee character of this game. He's here to get money to open up his own school and get famous from it. Then you've got Yoshimitsu, who's the ninja from space. Again, I had no idea about this before making a video. I mean, he does kinda look like an alien, but I don't know, this doesn't seem right. I feel like sometimes though, creators just make a character and then don't like their initial design for the character later on, so they change it, and this could just be one of those times. As for the gameplay, this is something that should feel at least somewhat familiar if you're a fan of the modern Tekken games. Like, you still got launches in there, same 4-button control scheme, kind of got wave dashing, not really, and you also got backdash cancelling. One thing that is kind of funny in this game that's definitely not in modern Tekken games is what we call the moon jumping. Like, characters in later Tekken games don't jump that high. In this game, they jump really high. You'll also notice that the damage in this game is crazy. Like, Kazuya can take up half your life with 2 hits. I guess they hadn't really figured out how to balance damage yet. And it's not like they could just bring out balance patches at any time back then either. There's actually no sidestepping in this game, which may surprise some of you since Tekken is a 3D franchise. The characters can move in a 3D environment, like Heihachi with his runaway move, and even King when he swings people around, but you can't actually step into the background or foreground like you can in, say, Tekken. That does have a huge impact on the gameplay, as you have to focus more on spacing through backdashing to avoid attacks, since moving backwards is like the only way to dodge. To be honest, even though the gameplay is old and obviously dated, it's still pretty fun to play. There's something about the relative simplicity of it that makes for a nice change of pace compared to modern fighting games. And since there are literally no other modes outside of arcade and 2-player versus, it's good to know the gameplay is fun enough to not get quickly bored. The variety of real world locations and stages you could play on is a nice touch too. Alright, so this is the part of the video I was really looking forward to. Basically, we're going to be giving out awards for different categories to celebrate the best that this game has to offer. I'm sure a lot of you have strong opinions on what you'd give these awards to, so I'd love to hear what you think in the comments.
Round 1.
This one was a hard one, but I gotta give it to Michelle's 2P outfit. It's a simplistic outfit on the surface, and she's not gone crazy with the colours, except for those socks, but her colour coordination is on point otherwise. I love how she's matched the earrings with the lipstick, and the addition of the choker adds extra drip. It was very close between her and Paul though, since his glasses are really hard, but Michelle just about wins. I feel like a lot of people are going to bring up Kazuya. I mean, he does have really nice Nikes on, but the vest for me is just a bit uninspired.
Round 2.
I mean, come on, was there really any debate? It's Kazuya. Smile's just too iconic. The guys at Tekken have also referenced it's quite a lot in promotional materials. You know it was going to go to him. It's also a really important part of the Mishima storyline. Kazuya had resented his father for basically his entire life up to this point. There was the act of taking revenge on his father in this ending that started the heated family feud that would carry the main story of every Tekken game, even up until the upcoming Tekken 8. Most endings in this game don't really contribute to the story or the progression of the story for the character they belong to either, so this one kinda picks itself for me.
Final round.
For our final award, I'm giving it to Windermere. Now, it's a pretty nice stage, but the real reason I've given it this award is because of the song. Now, granted, the song that I'm giving it to is actually a remix of the song that plays in the game. Now, it might sound strange, but this remix is in the soundtrack. Now, this may seem like cheating, but this remix goes really hard, so I just had to give it the award. Honestly, I think it's criminal you don't hear this song in the game, along with the other remixes. They're not even on streaming services where you can find Tekken soundtracks, but you can check out the remixes on YouTube. This Windermere dub mix, as it's known, is a pretty spooky song, and honestly there aren't really other Tekken songs like it, except for the original Windermere song, but you know what I mean. I'm interested to know what you guys think about this video. What do you think about Tekken 1? What awards have you given out? Do you have any fun memories of Tekken 1 you'd like to share with us? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching guys, peace.